Okay, let's talk about unit conversions. Now, these problems, kind of like the ratios, the proportions, the percentages, these problems, they can be kind of tedious. It just kind of depends what you're converting, but the math on these is repetitive, and I'm going to show you a different way of doing these. Now, I understand with unit conversions, here's where I'll give you a little bit of leeway. Like when it comes time for the test or quiz for this, like if you know what the answer is on some of these simple unit conversions, that's fine, okay? But, there is a way to show you how to do this. I call it the ladder method. Don't ask me where the name comes from. It's just what I heard one day, and it stuck with it, and it gives students something to refer back to. So with unit conversions, one thing you're going to note, I uploaded this on Canvas, that you'll be able to print off or you can have open on another screen, is this little unit conversions chart. Okay, now I wanted to explain a couple things about this before I got going with the actual conversions. So everything on the top here, those are all standard conversions, what the United States uses, because I believe we are the last country in the entire world that still uses this system. But the other thing I wanted to note with this, notice we have units of length, weight, Lucas capacity, area. Down here we have volume and time, but the main thing with this one is be able to distinguish between length, area, and volume. Remember, length is how far it is from one point to another. Area, notice everything in area, everything's measured in square units because that's what square units are used to measure is area. And volume, everything in volume is measured in cubic units because we're trying to figure out how much space something occupies. So my main thing with that point of that is don't mess up a unit of length. Like if you're trying to convert square feet to square inches, don't use this conversion, 1 to 12. It is 1 square foot to 144 square inches. So make sure you're using the correct conversion. Because I'll see people screw up on a test or screw up on an assignment, hint, 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 where they'll use the wrong conversion, especially this one right here, the 1 yard to 3 feet, 36 inches, that one, when they're supposed to be, when I'm asking for like square yards to square feet, people mess that up all the time. Okay, then at the bottom of the chart, here's all your metric conversions. Now again, you can fill in the chart however you want. I just wanted to give you something for quick reference. But notice on the left-hand side, we have metric to metric. Okay, anything with a meter or a gram, or you can't see it yet, it's off the screen, or a liter, those are all metric. Okay, and in case you're curious what this funky little U is right there, that is a symbol for micro. Okay, but we won't deal with that too much. Then if you look on the right side of the chart, we have metric to English conversions, or standard, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes some people call it the English system. I've heard it called the standard system. Most people just say what the United States uses. But if you look here we have all our conversions from, here's the English unit to its metric equivalent. If you notice, these numbers are not favorable. So then we get a lot of wavy equal signs, because when you convert standard to metric, they just do not line up well. So that's why you kind of get really, really crappy numbers. Okay, so let's go to some of those examples I showed you, and I'll show you how to convert some of this stuff. Now, it's a pretty repetitive process. And again, I'll link some notes to this too, in case you don't want to keep thumbing through this video, you just want some concrete examples to look at. So you look right here, they said 7 feet is what in inches. Now, I chose this is the first one because, everybody should know how to do this already. So what you do when you set this up, you draw this little T. Let me try that again. That was pathetic. Oop. See if I can actually draw straight this time. So we draw this T. Okay, not much better, but it's acceptable. So what you do is you take the unit you have, you put it up top here. We have 7 feet. Okay, and then what you need to do with the second half here is the golden rule for that is you got to have the same units diagonally. So we got to put feet down here, and then inches on top. Okay, so the reason we want same units diagonally is so they cross out. We're kind of pulling from that rule for multiplying fractions. When you have the same units diagonally, they reduce. So it's the same idea, we're just writing it differently. There is another way you can do this with, it's called unity fractions, but I'm not even going to show that method. So now what we do is we can go to our conversion chart, in case you don't know what the conversion from feet to inches is. It's right there. 1 foot equals 12 inches. So I can take that and I can plug that in, the information. So 1 foot is to 12 inches. Now after you do this, there's only one of two operations you can do to get the answer. Multiply or divide. Now if 1's on the bottom, you multiply to get the answer. So what happens is the feet crosses out the feet, and then 7 gets times by 12. So I'll write that down here. So we do 7 times 12 to get the answer. In this case, 84. And what unit do we have left? Inches. So 84 inches. So it's kind of a simple process. But you know, like I was saying with the ratios and stuff we did earlier, it's just all about the setup. But the good thing is, as you go from unit conversion to unit conversion, the method doesn't change. So as you look right here, I have this one, but just in reverse. So let's say I have 84 inches, and I want to know what it is in feet. So what we do, again, we draw, almost drew a straight line. Let's see, so what we do, put the 84 inches right here. Okay, now right now I'd encourage you to pause the video and think about what your setup should be here before I put it in. But we look right here, inches is right here, so inches has to go right here, because the same units have to be diagonal. If you're going to use this method, that is the cardinal rule, that the same units diagonally, always. So now we fill in our conversion again, so we know 1 foot is to 12 inches. But we look, okay, now we have same units diagonally, okay? So those will cross out, but if you notice the difference between this one and this one, now notice 1's on the top. So what you do to get the answer here is, since the non-1 units are diagonal from each other, you divide. Okay, so the inches cancels out the inches, so that just leaves me with feet, what I want. And I take 84, and I divide that by 12. Just remember, diagonal, divide. So we take 84 divided by 12, and that gets 7. So we have 7 feet left over, because feet's the only unit left over. Okay, so now we go to this one here. I picked kind of a weird one. Because you know, because when I look at this, you know, I'm a big proponent of, you know, if you can do the really weird ones, the basic routine ones will just be that, basic and routine. So we do draw our little T-chart here. So we have 335 miles, and I want to know what this is in yards. So again, I'd encourage you to pause the video right here and think about what your unit setup should be here, and then see if it matches what I'm about to say. So we look right here, we got miles, so what has to go down here? Miles. Same units diagonally. I'm going to say it sarcastically or comedically to get that through your head, because that will save you from headaches later on. So let's see, so we need the conversion from miles to yards. So let's go to our handy dandy conversion chart, or most of you probably just use your smartphone. So we look right here, 1 mile is either 5,280 feet or 1,760 yards. So let's put in that. So we got, let's see, so we got 1 mile is 1,760 yards. So now again, I'd encourage you to pause the video and think about, okay, what operation do I do here to get the actual conversion? And see if it matches what I'm about to do. So miles crosses out the miles, right? 1's on the bottom, so you guessed it, I multiply. If that's what you guessed, congratulations, you got the process down and have earned my respect. Let's see, so now we take 335 and times that by 1,760, and we get a really big number. We get 589,600. It should be a lot of yards. 589,000. I forgot the last part. Get that up here again. 600. There we go. Okay, let me write that down. 600 yards. It should be a lot of yards, you know, like I always tell everyone, keep things in context. 335 miles, that is a long, long way, okay? So it should be a lot of yards. So, you know, when you're looking at these, kind of look at your answer, and again, ask yourself, does it make sense? Okay, let's see. I got some more unit conversions hiding up here. Let's see. So now we go, I'm going all over the spectrum here because it doesn't matter what kind of units you're changing, the process is still the same. So if you notice on the left side here, I have 365 square feet to square yards. Okay, so now I'd encourage you to pause the video and solve this one before I even do the example. Okay, because now you got the setup, just make sure you use the correct units. Okay, so the way we set this one up, let's see, can't draw a straight line to save my life. See, so we have 365. I'm going to put the other thing for square feet, just put the 2 up there. So if we got square feet here, that means square feet goes in the bottom, right? And square yards goes on top. In case you're wondering where the 2 comes from, that's just an abbreviation for squared. I don't want to write the SQ in there. So we go right here, you go to your chart and you look for the conversion from square yards to square feet. So we're in the area section. So let's see, 1 square yard is 9 square feet, not 1 to 3, because we're in square units now. So let's fill that in. Let's see, so we got 1 square yard is 9 square feet. So now to get my answer here, before I get ahead of myself, square feet crosses out square feet, right? So we look right here, they're diagonal from each other, so we divide. So we take 365 and we divide that by 9. Okay. Let's see what number that is. 365 divided by 9. So we get 40.555555555 forever. Okay. So when you look at this one, what I would do, I would just, you know, think practicality. So initially we get 40.5 repeated. Okay. Was it 40? Can't remember now. Yeah. So we think of this practicality. We're going from square feet to square yards. So the most likely thing you're doing with this is figuring out, I always use flooring, or, you know, figuring out square footage of your yard or something. So you think about this, 0.555, you could round this up to 41 square yards. Okay, so, you know, with that, as long as I can see that you got the number and what you rounded to, I'll give you that, because, you know, that's where practicality takes over. Because, like, you know, if you're looking for flooring, or say you're buying sod or something, you're not going to go up there and be like, I need exactly 40.5 repeated square yards of this material. You better make sure you don't give me a 0.5 more. And they're going to probably say, get out of my store. So, you know, just think practicality with this. Let's see. Okay, now we go to this one. Now I chose a different one here, 30 centimeters to inches. So now we have a metric to standard conversion, but it doesn't matter what you're converting. It's all the same. So we look right here. Let me get my chart. Okay, and again, before I solve this one, try to solve it on your own. Pause it. You know, that's the best kind of practice, and see if it matches with what I'm doing. So we have 30 centimeters, so centimeters goes down here, same units diagonally, inches on top. So the conversion for this one I know off the top of my head, but if you want to know where it is in the chart, you go down here and it's right there. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters in the metric to English conversions. So make sure you're looking at the right conversion. Okay, so 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So now, again, centimeters crosses out centimeters. 30 and 2.54 are diagonal from each other, so you guessed it, we divide. So you get 2.54. See what that is. And when you convert metric to standard or standard to metric, it's messy every time. Just kind of anticipate crappy numbers, because you're going to get them just like that. Okay, so let's say, so we got a big repeating number there. So let's just say 11.8. You know, I mean, you could even say 12 if you wanted to, but in this case, and actually, I should scratch that. I wouldn't go to 12, because if you go to 12, you're saying 30 centimeters is equal to a foot, and it's not quite a foot. It's a little short of a foot. So let's say this is about 11.8 inches. Okay, let's see, I think I have one more example here. Yes. Okay, so I have one more example here, and then I'll stop talking, and then in the next video we'll do a little bit more complicated unit conversions. So make sure you pay close attention to what I'm doing in that video. But in this last one, probably the easiest conversions to do under the sun is metric to metric conversions. And the reason metric to metric conversions are so easy is because the metric system is all based off units of 10. And if you kind of compare this to all the other conversions we just did, notice we either multiply or divide. And when you multiply or divide by units of 10, all it does is move your decimal up and down the number. So the actual number doesn't change. So we'll have the 1 and the 7, possibly the 0 in this answer here. But we don't actually change that. So that's why metric's a little bit better mathematically than the standard system. I don't want to bash on the standard system, but it can be tedious at times. Okay, so we look at this one. I want to convert this. Okay, and again, I know I'm being a broken record here, but pause it and try to solve it before I give you the answer, and then see if we get the same thing. Okay, so we got 170 meters. Let's see, meters. And just a side note, M is meters, MI is miles. Don't get that confused. So meters is here, so that means meters goes on the bottom, centimeters on top. So we got the conversion from meters to centimeters. I think for every 1 meter, it is 100 centimeters. Let's check on that. So again, it's a metric to metric conversion because meters and centimeters, and it's right there. 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. God, I am so smart. Let's see. So the meters crosses out the meters. Now this one's different than we've done in the last examples. So C1's in the bottom. So you guessed it, multiply to get your answer. 170 times 100. Okay, so this one, you shouldn't have to use a calculator on that one. So you just take 17 times 1 is 17, and then I have 1, 2, 3, so you put 3 zeros behind it. And this is centimeters. Okay, so when you look at this stuff, these unit conversions, all the examples we just went over, and hopefully you practiced, they're really not that bad. It's just kind of like the ratios and proportions. You just got to get the setup down. And the thing I really like about this T-chart is it lets you convert anything, because if you kind of look at all the examples we just did, we were all over the spectrum. I mean, we were converted standard to metric, metric to metric, standard to standard, units of area, units of length. I mean, it works for anything. It's kind of like your Swiss Army knife of unit conversions. But again, if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. But if you want to have something that can solve everything, this is the ticket for you. And I really don't think it's that labor intensive. It's not like I'm going to have you doing thousands of these unit conversions. Where we'll probably do about 700 or 800. That was a joke. But just I'd say give the process a chance, and it can be useful, especially when you get into units you're not familiar with. This can give you a blueprint to follow that you can break it down and get the answer.